Peter is our new follow-up coordinator. He said he received a phone call on his cell phone, which we broadcast on our channel. It was from a man, we'll call him Muhammad, and Muhammad said, "I need to meet with you." Now, normally our guys would say, "Not a good idea. Let's talk first on the phone." But he felt the Lord saying, "Go meet this guy." He turned out to be what is called a prince of ISIS. Someone that other ISIS members swear allegiance to, that they will die for.
The prince was a religious person in ISIS, and they considered him like a leader who teaches the Quran. He taught people how to memorize the Quran and urged them to jihad.
I grew up on radicalism. I was raised to take back Islam to the era of Muhammad, the era of power and conquests. We began to form groups to defend the country and Islam. One day, somebody asked me why I am a Muslim. I had no answer. I began to search in the Quran, Hadith, and Sunnah. I wanted to find proof and evidence that Allah exists and Islam is right. I found nothing.
The prince heard that I evangelized to Muslims. He got my number and called saying that he wanted to meet and talk. I had a strange feeling that he was from ISIS and that he might try to kill me. But I had a peace inside that the Lord would protect me as he had a reason behind this encounter. So I set up an appointment knowing that he could try to kill me.
When I went to Peter, I was scared, but I wanted to search for the truth.
So he went and met with Muhammad, and he said the Lord spoke to him in that moment. He said, "Be bold with him."
I said to him directly, "Our God is not yours."
When I listened to Peter, I felt his words were arrogant. His words had awakened Muhammad, the radical one. Because of my anger, for a moment, I forgot why I came to Peter. I suddenly had one thought. How should I kill him?
He boldly proclaimed the gospel to Muhammad, this bearded man.
He started crying while I was telling him these words.
What made me cry? I don't know.
While he was crying, I put my hand on his shoulder and started to pray. He then got up and left me. I felt he was not stable.
They met. They went their separate ways. He called again. Muhammad came back, very shaken.
I had a dream. Peter came to me and gave me a white envelope dripping with blood. The blood had a good fragrance like musk or perfume. When I saw the blood, I was scared. Peter said to me, "Don't be afraid." Then I woke up. Later, Peter told me, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins.
The prince asked, "What should I do to ask forgiveness?" I said, "The Lord gave it to you for free. You just need to accept it." And gradually, I began to disciple him.
So they came together, and Muhammad said, "Peter, I have a confession. I have to tell you that the first time I was going to meet you, I intended to kill you, and I am sorry." And he fell on his face, and he repented.
I began to visit Peter regularly, and I saw love that didn't exist in Islam.
He started walking with the Lord right away.
He shaved his beard. He changed his whole life.
Then he asked to be baptized.
Once I got out of the water, I felt a victory and a joy I could not describe.
He is conducting a Bible study for 3 people in his area.
The true book, in my opinion, is the Bible. I found the truth in Jesus Christ. And because I have surrendered my life to the Lord, I am certain He will never forsake me.
The sermon series we're in is about salvation and about how God changes our lives so that we go from darkness to light, from death to life, from wandering in lies and deceit to be able to find the truth. It's an amazing story that God puts together in our lives and how that happens. And we call that our testimony. It's our It's our witness of the circumstances and the truth that has enlightened us to the understanding of what God's love and mercy and grace is all about in our lives. And so as we embrace that, it changes us and it allows us to be able to take the words that God's given to us about who he is and what he offers us so that we can experience a relationship with him. That's what it's all about, is a relationship. We love stories about how people met who eventually got married, don't we? We love to get to know people by asking them to tell their story. And in the same way, we all have a story about how we met God. At least I hope that's your case, that you have a story of how you've met God. And everybody's circumstances might be a little bit different, but when it comes down to it, it's really the same story. We get to be a part of God's story, and that's a pretty amazing thing that we have the opportunity for. And maybe you're watching this today, and your God story is pretty bland. There's not much to say about it because it doesn't really exist very much. I would pray that you would seek God, and so that God could write his story on your heart and you could be a part of his story. That would be a great, great, great thing to be able to claim. And some of our testimonies go from, I was this terrible sinner doing all these awful things, and then God cleaned up my life. It's not just about cleaning up our drastic surface sins. It's about God changing the essence of who we are inside of our heart. That it's not just about what we did on the outside, but about who we were. And I hope that the series really talks about that. I think I've really tried to point out it's not so much about what we've done, but who we are and who God is and how he has come in and rearranged things in our lives and given us a new identity and a new role and a new position and a new heart. That's what we're getting into this coming Sunday. So I think that the story that we get to tell is pretty amazing. I mentioned in our sermon last Sunday Jeffrey Dahmer, a killer of 17 young men. That he even resorted to cannibalism. I mean, we just think how terrible of a sinner that is that came to Christ. We think about the Apostle Paul, who went from being a persecutor of Christians to having a new mission in life to help spread Christianity. Not all of our stories are that drastic. Most of us are just ordinary, pretty decent people, not perfect, but yet we still found that we needed God in our lives. And we needed the salvation that he offered. And so those kind of stories are pretty cool. I think that's when we hear the drastic stories, it reminds us that God can take care of our maybe not so drastic stories, and that he is able to forgive everything. The big things and the little things and whatever we think is beyond forgiveness, he's able to wipe it clean with the blood that was shed on the cross. And he takes our sins and he separates it as far as the east is from the west, and he puts it in the bottom of the sea where it can be brought back no more. So those are great promises. And I was thinking about testimonies this week, and I remember I've heard a bunch of testimonies of how some very radical Islamic groups have had members that have converted to Christianity, especially in the Muslim world. A lot of people have come to be Christians through having a dream or a vision that Jesus appeared to them and just said, "This is the truth. I am the truth." And so a lot of people come to him that way in the Muslim world, because there's very few Christians in the Muslim world that can actually share the gospel with people. So God has been opening up a lot of people's eyes, and I want to attach onto here a video clip about a story of one guy that was one of the ISIS princes, and how he came to saving faith. So it's pretty cool. So we'll leave you with that today. A great inspirational story that God is at work. God's big kingdom is going on throughout the world, and God's doing great things both near and far. So anyway, enjoy this.